What is up? I'm Annabelle Hasselbeck here with Natalie Noury, and this is Respect Her Game. We got a fun show for you guys today, the latest in the WNBA, NWSL expansion, and because we have Natalie, we'll get into some PWHL, Boston Fleet, but is this actually the first time I think we're in studio together? Is that right?
Yes, which is crazy to me. First of all, credit to you. She just ran over from doing another show, comes in.
Sneakers. That's why you wear the sneakers on a Monday.
I mean, you look graceful as always. You come in, you're like, I got like 30 seconds, and boom, right into the show. So credit to you. That is amazing. I'm glad to be here with you in person. I think it is the first time that we've done this. So that's so crazy. Wild. It's always been remote.
I know. Okay, so I do have to know, like, how's your summer been? What's the next big thing in your life going on?
Oh, gosh. So summer's been kind of crazy because it's all baseball right now. So I feel like every time there's a home game in Worcester, I leave my house at 11. I don't get home until 11. I'm producing the pregame show, doing the game stuff, and we got a nice all-female broadcast coming up at Fenway August 5th.
So fun.
I got the first major league call-up for that, which is crazy.
Oh, congratulations.
So I'm really excited. Thank you so much.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so it's wicked exciting. We got a lot of great people involved in that, and for some reason they trust me to go up there and do the job. So
hey, I listen to you. I trust you. You have a ton of experience.
Thank you.
And just working with the team so closely too, and I think it's great too that you said you're producing the pregame show.
Yes,
like that also is so awesome just for I think your career as a whole because you understand everyone's role.
Yeah, I think that's important too, in our industry is I always kind of wanted to make myself the person with the answers. So I know what goes on behind the scenes. So if I'm asking someone to do something, I know what kind of a task it might be for them and I can help them do it. Helps me do my job a little better too. So I feel like knowing that behind the scenes stuff helps the on-air stuff and vice versa. So it's definitely been an addition to the resume and everything. But I've done it with news, first time really doing it with baseball. So it's been
so
interesting,
exciting.
But we've pulled it off this far.
I love
we'll
it.
See.
Well, this is the show called Respect Your Game, and Laura Stickles and I used to do this little segment where we'd rate people's walk-up fits. So I have to ask you, do you have your outfit picked out for this big event?
Oh gosh, I don't know yet. I do think it might be kind of a power suit kind of day. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When you're on the sideline, I feel like it's fun to do a summer dress kind of thing, the shoes, the outfit, the dress. But I feel like studio work, you can really pull out the stops with the suit. Maybe we'll do a pantsuit kind of thing. We'll see. Maybe navy blue, white. I don't know yet.
Good.
We still got some time to play.
Maybe we'll toss you up here on the screen on Respect Your Game when we see the game day fit. But that's so exciting. We're going to cheering you on for that. But let's get to some WNBA.
Let's do it.
There's a lot going on in the league right now, and the brand collabs keep getting stronger in the WNBA. The Indiana Fever just did a collab with Stranger Things, their themed jersey for their game on Thursday against the Las Vegas Aces. Stranger Things takes place in the town of Hawkins, Indiana, so people felt like, hey, this crossover, it was a long time coming. And I actually lived in Indiana for 3 years, so love it. Never seen Stranger Things, though. Have you seen Stranger Things?
Yes, so I did. It's funny. I remember my first year over at UNH, my roommate and I were just totally antisocial because we were glued to season 1 of Stranger Things on our beds. I stopped watching maybe after season 2. I don't remember why, but it took me a second to figure out why Indiana was doing this. And then I was like, oh wait, Stranger Things takes place in Indiana. So what a great crossover. I think the jerseys look great. I think it's black with red specks, I forget what they call it in the show, but it channels the show, and I think they did a really nice job with it.
It's definitely eerie. I think the word they were using, eerie red specks or something. I've never seen the show. I actually barely even know what it's about. But I'd love a TV rec from you because I watch just obviously sports all the time. But I'm you know what? It might actually be good for me to be able to see these brand collabs and be oh, cool. So what's give me one show that I need to be watching.
Oh God. Well, I don't know what you're into. You like sports
or anything though. I could do if you think Stranger Things, if you think I got to know it for the Fever situation here.
At least Stranger Things put Millie Bobby Brown on the map for me.
Okay.
Love her. She's great. But my favorite shows tend to be kind of the action, Peaky Blinders, viewer discretion is advised there. But Yellowstone, I love those kinds of cool shows. I even dabbled in a little reality TV this year, which is not normal for me. I just wanted to keep up with what was going on online, so I had to check that out. But I feel I was thinking about this and Stranger Things, Fever, great crossover, but I was trying to think of another interesting crossover. I was like, Saturday Night Fever might be kind of interesting.
Okay.
Movie from the 1970s. We weren't alive back then, but
No.
I think that'd be kind of cool. That's also like Fever related, not Indiana related, but something like that.
I don't know. I don't know if I was even alive when Hoosiers came out, but that was the movie that I was thinking could be another crossover. I've seen it, even though it's older. And we did, when I moved to Indiana, we actually did a Hoosiers themed Christmas card. So my
God.
siblings and I put on
We
like
need to see
Hoosier
that.
jerseys. We went to Butler University, like kind of where it's at, and like took these photos and like Hickory Gym. It was a whole thing. But I think the brand collabs are great because it does grab other fans. Like maybe someone who's watching Stranger Things now has like, oh, interesting. Like I'll check out the WNBA. I don't know. Didn't hear anybody say that, but I do think that it could potentially trickle into that. But it's not just the jerseys that are getting the hype, but the rookie card of Caitlin Clark has made headlines. It's this 1-for-1 rookie card sold for $660,000 at the Fanatics fan collection auction, becoming the highest selling women's sports trading card of all time. And actually the second one was Caitlin Clark again. She just doubled that price, which is absolutely wild. But I mean, this is just crazy to me. I didn't grow up like trading cards, but I totally understand like the significance of this. But can you just like fathom the amount of money for this one rookie card?
No, but you know what? I'm glad because, first of all, Caitlin tends to love breaking records. So this is amazing. I'm glad to see this.
Is this something new? We're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, oh,
There
yeah,
she goes
another
again.
thing.
No, but I feel like ever since I've worked in baseball, like player cards have really been put on the map for me because there's people from ages 5 to 65 outside of a stadium waiting for their cards to get signed, which is insane. And I guess I've learned to appreciate it.
That's why they put Roman Anthony in the towel bin and they scooted him out. He's like, I don't want to sign him today.
I know. Well, they sign them all the time. And Roman, I mean, humble kid, he stops for everyone, but that day was like a bit of a joke. But everybody was like, hey, we didn't get the autographs. But that's what makes these cards valuable, aside from without the signature, with the signature. I mean, Caitlin Clark's going for $660,000 is insane. I mean, that could buy you a house. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. In today's day and age. But I mean, it's just incredible. I actually like tried to look up some of the other like best-selling cards just in sports. And of course, Mickey Mantle from 1952. I think it sold 12.6 million in 2022. So I mean, you get.
So we're ways away from that.
We're ways away, but what I like about this is the historical aspect. So of course, 1952 Mickey Mantle, big history grab right there. When I think about this Caitlin Clark card, think about the historical value it will have decades from now, because we think about how far women's sports have come, how many barriers they've broken down for like the first. I mean, I don't know. As far as Caitlin Clark goes, she was really kind of putting the WNBA on the map for my family. My dad, you know, he's 70. He always tunes into the Fever games because he wants to watch her. So think about this card, Caitlin Clark, decades from now. This is just going to increase in value, but amazing for it to start at $660 and amazing to see where it's going to go from there.
Well, that's what's so crazy about it is that she hasn't even won a WNBA championship yet. So just imagine like what comes with that. This is just her second season. And I mean, that value is going to absolutely skyrocket. But just on the value of the WNBA, there's more headlines in the fan zone because Bobby Wagner just joined the Seattle Storm ownership group. So now we've covered on this show like a few high caliber athletes who are really investing and trying to get into women's sports. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about Alex Morgan with the NWSL, Aaliyah Boston, and now the Boston Legacy, which is so cool. And now Bobby Wagner back in with the Seattle Storm. And I think he's the first active player to have equity in a WNBA team. And he plays for the Commanders right now, but he's still very attached to the Seattle community. And I think that's so awesome. And it's even what you just see with Aaliyah Boston. She plays for the Indiana Fever, but played basketball here in Boston. And she's giving back, she's investing in the women's pro sports here. But how do you feel like this, like what temperature does this give just women's professional sports in general?
I think it's kind of fun because it just kind of shows everybody wants a piece of the pie. And I think this goes back to, I took a couple notes here. Of course, in 2023, Tom Brady had a minor stake in the Las Vegas Aces. Dwayne Wade, part owner of the Chicago Sky. I just think it's really exciting that big names like this are coming out and backing women's sports. Something that really kind of jogs my brain is the fact that Billie Jean King really supported the PWHL. She's tennis, didn't really have any interest or I guess, playing career in hockey for that matter, but she invested, she advises, she's an advocate, and that's what some of these other athletes too are doing. They're getting behind them, they're investing in them, and I think it's just great, especially to see male athletes get involved too.
Definitely. It means something. Like, take out we'll get to like the strategic situation and how that helps, but like I remember when I was playing at Boston College, when like the head football coach would show up to our games, like it meant something.
Yeah,
it was like,
that's
oh my
awesome.
gosh, like the person who has a lot of power in our sports world, is coming and showing up to our games and is like investing in time and being there. And I think even on like the strategic side, like think about the experience that Bobby Wagner's had in his NFL experience. Think about what Alex Morgan has and now Aaliyah Boston.
Right.
Like when you're talking about building new franchises and expanding in all the different women's pro leagues, these high caliber athletes can bring so much experience and say, oh, I know what worked in this ownership group.
Right.
I know what didn't. I know how to run a team and I know like what it takes too.
That's a good point. And you spent some time in Seattle. I don't know. I haven't spent much time out there at all, maybe the airport layovers. But like as far as the sports city goes in Seattle, do you feel like it's growing? Not only like with this ownership, but of course PWHL Seattle's going
Definitely.
to.
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
So I lived in Seattle for 10 years, 0 to 10 years old.
Okay.
And like really never saw hockey.
Yeah.
And really even lacrosse that I played, it wasn't big. And so going back, even recently going to a Kraken's game, I mean, you would have thought the Kraken had been there for 500 years. Like it was like felt like a hockey city.
Yeah.
And it's right like it was played where the Mariners play, and so that the stadiums are all really close together, which I think is really fun. Like you can walk from the Seahawks Stadium to the Mariners Stadium, and so I think just in general, the Seattle area has really embraced hockey as a whole. So it'll be really cool to see how it goes down there for PWHL. But you'll probably be traveling there a good amount. Is that right?
I actually don't know yet. I'm pretty Boston based again this year, so I don't really know if this is public knowledge yet, but 13 home games in Boston for the PWHL. And then I think that they're still planning on doing a few more takeover tour neutral sites because, the league went from 6 to 8 this year and they're not stopping there. So they're looking for more locations, more sites to host. So we'll see where I go. I'd love to travel.
Yeah.
I was in St. Louis last year for the takeover tour. And it was incredible just to see these sports communities come out and support teams that weren't their own, but that they wanted. So go back to Bobby Wagner here. It's great that he is also seeing the interest in women's sports. Obviously has a love for the area. I think he still lives there, right?
Yeah.
Bellevue?
Yes,
Is that right?
which is crazy. It's a town that I grew up in.
Really?
I was like, okay, Bobby, like I love it. And
Yeah.
you know what's so cool too is like I got to go to Seattle Storm games growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, like I had a fat head of Sue Bird on my wall for like however many years. Like
No
we
way.
loved it. And what the cool part about that for me was that my dad was playing for the Seahawks at the time, and he made it his effort to go to take his daughters to the Seattle Storm games. And I think that is great, not only just as a parent, but for like someone who is with the male pro team in the city to be like, hey, I'm paying respect and I'm taking my daughters to go see, hey, what could you do in your life? Not only like, is it just NFL football, but like he really made a goal of his to like bring us to University of Washington women's soccer games and go to Seattle Storm games. And, if the PWHL was there, he'd probably be taking us to Seattle PWHL games.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
I love that. Well, I think it's just cool that, Wagner playing for the Commanders still has that love for Seattle and the desire to invest and everything. It speaks a lot about the area, as you kind of touched on right there, but even great just for women's sports to continue to get big names like that, supporting them, backing them, pushing them forward, whatever it is. But yeah, I think that's really cool. That's awesome.
And another big name in women's sports who actually recently took off via some aggression in the WNBA, Sophie Cunningham. So while we're on the topic of money, unfortunately, she was on the other side of this. She just got fined $500 for this TikTok. So check it out. All right. Well, I applaud her creativity. Okay. So it's a bummer that she got fined. I applaud the creativity with the TikTok, but she got fined $500 for this. What are your thoughts on the fine and really if she should have gotten fined?
I mean, when you look at it black and white, like you're not supposed to publicly shame refs. So I guess a slap on the wrist, like $500, not the worst thing in the world. I guess my first reaction is, by the books, you're not supposed to publicly insult the refs. So this is the consequence. However, social media, it's interesting. You can have an opinion there. So I guess despite $500, the TikTok, whatever, I would say what Sophie Cunningham is doing here is just vocalizing what everyone else is also thinking. So I don't hate her for it. I don't shame her for it. But I think she, maybe should have expected that there would be a repercussion here and maybe still took the chance. I don't know. I'm only speculating, but $500 to get your point out, I guess, for me at the end of the day, if I have an opinion that I feel strongly about, it's priceless. But in this situation, I don't really know. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, that's a great point just about like wanting to be heard. And it's been the whole season. The players and the coaches have been stressing like what's going on? Like it's getting out of control a little bit. So yeah, she probably was like, hey, I got to step up and say something. And now that she's like, I mean, she's gained so many Instagram followers and TikTok followers since. I think if she hadn't, the WNBA probably would have never even seen it, right? And so it probably would have never even been a problem. So I was talking to somebody about this too after seeing it. Part of it's like, yes, you have to respect the rules and you do have your own voice, but the goal is for like young kids to look up to these WNBA players. And like, yes, you're not going to be happy with every situation, but I think for the WNBA, if we're going to like, okay, I understand why you did it. Like you want young kids to know how to handle bad reffing because bad reffing is going to happen all the time. It's never going away. Like it's a hard job. It's very subjective in some circumstances. So I think in that sense, it's like, okay, but I kind of feel like, could you just have told her like, take it down and then we'll fine you? Yeah. Like it's like if it's $500, like what are we doing?
I know $500 to me, it's almost like pro athletes can afford that kind of thing. But maybe like who knows? Maybe teammates were like, yeah, we'll help you pay this because we feel the same way.
Yeah,
but,
maybe.
I haven't been the closest follower.
They're holding the ring light for her. Like, you go, girl. Like, we love
this. You should use this song. You should use Sabrina Carpenter. But I think you're right. Like, I don't know. I think a couple of notes that I took about this situation was just like, the league has faced a lot of scrutiny over bad reffing all year, it kind of feels like. So for her to kind of put it on blast, I mean, I would even say she has garnered a lot more attention, as you mentioned earlier. So it's almost like maybe they wouldn't have seen this if she isn't the animated character that she is on the court. I like her. I mean, it was funny because my parents were texting me one day, like, do you know who this is? Do you know who this is? You should see what she did. Like, it was crazy. And I was like, I'll look her up. So I don't know. There's many ways you can draw attention to your name. Maybe this, wasn't the most poised way to do it, but maybe at the same time, everybody kind of feels the same way behind the scenes. We don't know.
Totally. She's definitely got this like swagger to her. Like, I do not care. Like, I'm going to do what I want. Which is kind of, in their situation right now, they can because they have all the attention on them. So they're using it with free will. But let's run through this Fever game because they played yesterday against the Chicago Sky. They beat them 93-78. And check out what Kelsey Mitchell had to say about rookie Michaela Timpson.
How have you seen her improve and become more comfortable throughout the season?
She's amazing. One of the best rookies I think I've ever come across of. She's I don't know how to say it, like the ultimate pro. Shows up, no problems, nothing. When you have locker room culture happening, you need great people to make it greater, and I think we got a good addition here. So shout out to KK.
The ultimate pro. I just wrote that down because I was like, that's got to be the highest compliment, one of the highest compliments you can give someone. And I think it's really cool that she's able to step up because think about how hard it is for a team to lose like their starting point guard. Okay, like, oh no, what's our game plan without our starting point guard or our starting forward? How do we adjust? Like, that's hard. Now think about that if it's Caitlin Clark, like someone who you go to, you rely on. And this team clearly has been able to adapt not only with people like Kelsey Mitchell, who's been stepping up. I think she had like 35 points in that game, but also a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the rookies who have to adjust to that professional level, too. There is a little bit of like a learning curve. Of course, these college athletes have been in the spotlight. They know what it takes to, be the right kind of athlete, be the right kind of teammate. But in this situation, you're right, losing Caitlin Clark, it's almost like, okay, well, it's my job now. I'm going to step up. I'm going to do the best I can. And we even heard, the head coach talking about how ready she stays. And I think that's a testament to her just wanting to be there, wanting to learn, wanting to be the piece they need, especially when they're going through something that might be a little bit of adversity for the team.
Yeah, so let's hear from Stephanie White on Michaela Timpson.
It's different for every team, but with this team in particular, because she's kind of playing behind Tosh, she doesn't always get probably the minutes that she could get, and depending upon lineups, playing behind AB or Didi, but she's really done a great job of staying ready. We talk a lot about staying ready so you don't have to get ready, and one of the benefits of having a deep team is that if you don't have it one night, somebody else does. One of the challenges of having a deep team is that people deserve to play that don't always get to play. And KK's been ready, and she continues to get better. And I was, happy to see her come out and make that impact right away.
It's interesting for me to hear Coach White say, like, you know, people who deserve to play don't get to play, because you're thinking, oh, like, this is pro, like, you're not worried about anyone else's feelings, but like clearly Coach White is, and I think that's kind of a testament to probably their culture. Like, she knows who's good enough to play and who's deserving, but it really does show you the depth that they have on this team.
I think of like a goaltender situation in hockey teams. You get the first string, second string, maybe the third guy on the bench too. It's almost like all these people are deserving to play, but sometimes there just might not be the immediate spot for them. And I think, you know, this is a great sign of the culture of this Fever team too, because I think you lose one of the people that really kind of carries your team, but the rest of you find a way to pick up the pieces and keep going without that piece. And it's almost like, I just think it's a really good indication as to the culture, the just the way that this team is kind of looking out for each other. When they're down a piece, they stay ready, as does she. It's just one of those things that I think you really got to respect and take as a really successful group.
Definitely. And even when, you know, your star player like Caitlin Clark goes down, you might know who's got to fill that role, but like as an athlete, you have to turn that switch on in your brain. Like, okay, I know I'm probably taking the ball up, but okay, time and score, where are we in the game, like where's the momentum, like you might have to flip that switch on and be like, oh no wait, I'm the person who actually has to drive to the hoop, like I'm the person who actually has to take that three, or I cannot foul because my team needs me on the court. Like, I can't foul out of this game. And so it's been really cool just to see the evolution of this Fever team with Caitlin Clark in and out of the lineup. And Angel Reese actually didn't even play in that game, which was wild, but fun matchups there. But enough Fever talk for the day. I mean, we could just call this the Fever show. Respect the Fever game, honestly, at the end of the day. But when we come back, we'll talk Denver Summit FC, because the WNBA is not the only league that is growing so quickly. So stay tuned for some soccer when we come back. Welcome back to Respect Your Game. Let's talk some soccer, because there's a lot going on in the NWSL, not just here in Boston. The Denver Summit FC earned a top billing in the team's Name the Club community outreach campaign, which generated 15,000 fan votes, which is, you know, you say 15,000, you're like, oh, they're like, no, 15,000 is a lot of people to get hyped up about this team. It's the NWSL's 16th expansion team. Denver Summit reveals the name and the logo, and just so crazy because this is a huge project. Like, we look about what happened with the Boston Legacy and how much went into that, but I love what they came up with. I love the crest. I love the logo. The mountains are really represented in the branding. The green crest with the green mountains, it's white snow caps, red sky, orange sun, and this is what the craziest part to me was. This mountains, I guess, are at like a 23 or 26 degree slope for the team's inaugural season in 2026. I'm like, I would have never in a million years been able to like come up with that on the crest. Like, hey, how about the mountain on the crest is gonna be 26 degrees slope? I'm like, well, I also was terrible at math, so like in geometry, so that's why I'm doing podcasting. But just so creative. But what did you think about the name, the new crest?
I mean, first of all, I love it. I'm a big outdoorsy person. I grew up in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. So to me, I love these kinds of logos because it like draws me in. I don't know. I'm like, I want a shirt with mountains on it. Like, I like that stuff. It's great for the marketing. And I think it's, I don't know, it takes into account like the lifestyle of Colorado people, Coloradans, I don't know what you call them there. People who live in Colorado are really represented in this logo. And I just think it's really creative. You think about the marketing tactics. You talk about that 26 degree slope of the mountains. I mean, it's a big ski community out there too. So it's like, who thinks of this stuff? But I love it. It just covers all the bases. I think it's a great idea. I also love how they kind of crowdsource, you know, what should we name our team? Kind of like the Utah Mammoth had. Oops. Just dropped my battery pack. So this is also why we never did math in college, right?
No, it's all good. No, but I love exactly what you're saying, because it's all nature themed, and that's what you think of when you think of Denver, right? And also just like the mountains and being able to encapsulate that. Like you said, you're from a place where you love the scenery and you love the mountains, and so like for people who actually live in Denver, you can just imagine like how much that will resonate with them. I also remember like playing Denver University in lacrosse, and they had the outline of mountains on the back of their jerseys, and it was special, unique to no other school had that. And I remember being like, that is so cool and unique to them. So super cool. But check out this video from Peyton Manning getting basically involved in the NWSL. Very creative. They had the little chats on the screen saying, hey, welcome, joining the club. But kind of back to what we were saying, when you have a high caliber and elite athlete now investing and getting into the NWSL, it's really exciting for women's sports.
Yeah, it's like another Bobby Wagner's situation, a big name behind a team that's expanding and adding to the NWSL. I think it's really cool. Peyton Manning, of course, you think about Denver when you think about him, or vice versa. So I just think it's a really great representation, and I love seeing those kinds of things, especially as you mentioned, like big name male athletes getting behind the future of women's sports. No, I think it's interesting because I don't really watch a lot of pro soccer. I think what's exciting coming to Boston is that we now will be watching a lot of pro women's soccer. It's a sport that I played growing up. I loved it. It was always so much fun for me. And to see that when I was little, it was actually funny. My dad used to turn on like men's soccer games on the TV. Like, you should channel this in your game today.
Oh, no way.
So now, like, think about the 8-year-olds who are playing now who get to see like the nice colors of this branding and be like, ooh, I want a shirt with that logo on it, or I want to play like she does, or something like that. I just think it's a great time for young female athletes. And I think Boston, Denver, the rest of the NWSL, they're doing it right. And I'm very excited to see where 2026 goes.
Yeah,
for these
and
teams.
even just like looking, like you said, like I would want to wear that. Like looking at the stylistic colors of
Yeah.
the logo, like it's very smart to pick a brand that fits what people are already going to wear
Right.
and want to wear. And even just thinking what we have here with the Fleet and now the Legacy, their colors kind of go together a little bit. Like
Yeah.
you can see the greens are a little bit simple, but I think what's exciting about this Denver team specifically, team president Jen Millett said that they're going to be building a 14,000 plus that seat stadium opening in 2028, which I think is so
Yeah.
crucial because not only is it like, yes, we know that there are ticket sales and people are already excited for the team, but like, hey, we have plans to like invest in this city and make this like a real home, a real stadium, so that, you know, young women and young girls can go to these games and be like, whoa, not only are we just like in a random facility or in
Yeah.
a random stadium, like it is legit.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, it's great for like, I don't know, recruiting comes to my mind, even though they're not recruiting like these pro athletes, but they're giving them a desirable place to play. I also think about like the economic impact that this kind of stuff has, like the jobs it creates, just the environment it creates, the family, I guess you can say, behind this one team. Now they're supporting a bunch of different people in the community in return because they have this future venue popping up. Like the USL team in Rhode Island just finished their, I forget what it's, Tide Watch or Tidewater project, where they built a new stadium in Pawtucket, I think. But it's great. I mean, the stadium was finished, the team moved into the stadium, and all of a sudden the city had something else to do. And it was just like great. A new like Friday night plan, new jobs to apply to, new internships for college students. I just think like this kind of stuff is the right move when you think about like a business move, a sports move, a city impact move. So I just think it's great.
I love that. And I love what you said about the jobs, because I was actually just in Utah like literally 24 hours ago. Yes, I was in Utah.
You do it all.
No, first time in Utah. It was a great city, very beautiful, Salt Lake City. But I was covering the PWHL. I was covering the PLL,
Yeah.
pro lacrosse, men's lacrosse. And what was so eye-opening to me was all the jobs that people had just for the league, just to put on the, you know, the 4 games that were played.
Right.
And so say you're, you know, a young girl and you want to play soccer, but you might not be able to be a pro athlete someday. Like, I'm not a pro athlete. Like, you know, like it's really hard to be a pro athlete.
Yeah.
You could still get involved, and now there's more opportunities to be a woman in sport or to be able to work for a pro organization.
Right.
So think about, like you said, the internships and just the things that will come up. In building in the stadium too, I think it allows young players who are pursuing soccer to say, okay, I know like what some normal jobs are. I know like what that track might be. And it's probably a little more stable than having a job and like as a pro soccer player,
Yeah.
right? And depending on what the salaries are, you might have to work camps and do other things at the same
Right.
time. But I think having that stadium almost gives you like an easier foreseeable future of like,
Right.
hey, this is like legit.
Yeah, I mean, when things become like tangible in a way, I feel like I'm a visual learner, but I like I learn by like doing things and watching things be created. Like that's how I really like consume information, I guess you could say. So like getting a team, planning for a stadium, making it all tangible, and like you got the renderings up. That's what excites me, especially as like a fan. It's like, ooh, this place is going to be great. Like they're going to be able to fill however many seats and season tickets and all that kind of stuff. I just think like, I don't know, when stuff like that really starts to roll out, first of all, credit to the league for being so aggressive and getting these teams ready to go for 2026 and future years to come. But I just think it's, you know, it's exciting as ever to get involved in this kind of thing and to become a new fan too, if you're not.
Definitely. I mean, there's got to be like a pole race between like WNBA, PWHL, PWHL,
Yeah.
NWSL. Like, who's having more
Yeah.
expansion teams, and
Yep.
which one is Respect Your Game going to cover the most? But
Giving us
there's more,
content.
right? There's more crossovers in the NWSL. Here in Boston, Legacy GM Don Guache met Boston Fleet head coach Chris Spar and the general manager, and this was just so awesome to see because he's really making his rounds. He also went to Patriots practice and got to meet with Mike Vrabel, so I think that's been great to see because not only is it, we want to like pump up the Legacy, but he's also he's going all around Boston, and I think these, in-city crossovers are huge, not just for the PR photo. It's important and all those things. And here he is with Mike Vrabel. I mean, just seriously, look at the height difference is wild. That's when you see different body types fit different sports for sure. Vrabel probably wouldn't be awesome at soccer unless he was like a defender. So
he's a big boy.
Yes, all things happen, but I think it's awesome because these teams are able to collab in this way and to also just we might not see this if you're solely a Patriots fan. So it's great to be able to have those crossovers, and especially in the women's sports specifically.
Yeah, I was actually texting Faith Worrell with the Boston Fleet. Shout out to Faith. She's incredible. But she was talking about the press conference with Chris, and she was talking about, who was going to be there in attendance. And then she had mentioned that the Boston Legacy GM was coming. And I was like, that's so cool. And she's like, he's everywhere. So I
those were the only 2 photos that we could find. But he seriously is everywhere.
I love it. I think I've applied to zillions of jobs in my life, it feels like, but something about a front-facing job like this is they really want the person they hire to be a face in the community. And I think the face represents the brand, and the brand is associated with the face. So for him to go out and do these kinds of things where he's meeting the teams and passing out gear, he's really creating a brand for himself too. And I think that's a great strategic move for someone of his position, because then it's we know this guy, he's with the Legacy, let's go to a Legacy game. Definitely. So I just think, I don't know, he's doing it the right way. I love
Where's
it.
Waldo situation. We'll just throw him in a different, maybe a striped green and black shirt.
Yes.
Maybe that's what we'll do. Hey, but when we come back, we'll get into some hockey because we have Natalie here today, so we got to make use of it. Perfect. So stay tuned when we come back. All right, let's get into some PWHL Boston Fleet because we do have the luxury of having Natalie Noury here on the show today. So let's start with the headliner, new head coach Chris Spar. What do you think of this hire?
I'm not sure how much of a luxury I am, AB, but thank you. Thank you for that. No, Chris Spar, I mean, it's really exciting. It's I don't know. It's interesting to see Boston enter into this new phase already. I mean, they had Courtney Kessel for 2 years. She was wonderful, but it's almost okay, we got another chapter opening here, and we got Chris Spar in Boston. And I think it's really exciting to hear how enthusiastic he is to be here. And I mean, we talk about this all the time, but men and women's sports, women and men's sports, it's a crossover. I think Chris is a great mind for the game. He's got a great perspective. He, of course, coached in the AHL for a few years, so he knows what it takes to develop players, but also keep winning in mind. And I think I listened to, the press conference, and it was just one of those things where we talk about college athletes coming straight to the pro level. There is a bit of an adjustment there, so there is still developmental pieces that need to be had, but it's all about winning. These are the best athletes on the planet. They play in the Olympics. They've got medals, gold, silver, whatever it is. I mean, they play the best version of the game that you can find out there. And I think, Chris brings a really great perspective. I haven't met him yet, but I'm really excited to. He just seems like he's going to be a great addition.
Yeah, well, I'm excited, and it's crazy that it's already the second coach, and it's only been a few years in this league, right? But I think regardless, there's a lot of upside. So we're excited. So let's take a listen into the press conference and just this transition for Chris on the women's game.
Yeah, I think, I maybe would have felt differently had I not spent a year with the Bruins. And having that opportunity and working with the men and the way that those coaches and that development staff is working with athletes and those players and developing them, I thought it was actually a really neat opportunity to bring somebody over who's experienced that, the development piece of it, what I talked about the balancing the need to develop players and the need to win. And so I don't have a concern about the fact that he hasn't coached women's hockey. I think, these are professional athletes. He's coached professional athletes. He's coached the best players in the game. Our players want to be treated like pros, and they want to learn from the best. And I think that's what we're doing here with bringing Chris in.
One of my best coaching experiences was my freshman year at Boston College. We had a male coach on our staff, and I had never had a male presence in my lacrosse experience ever. Like, I'd always had female coaches. Basketball, different. Like, I had guy coaches all the time growing up, other sports as well, soccer, but never in lacrosse. And it totally was a game changer for me because sometimes different people can just translate things differently, and messages come across in certain ways that some people might take easier than others. Right. And he was great because he also played guys lacrosse. His name's Billy Bitter, one of the best men's lacrosse players of all time. And we loved having him there. And we also loved our female coaches just as much, right? But there was just something different that he brought to the table that a lot of us who had never been coached by a guy before was able to bring into our game. He knew how to shoot differently than the girls did. He had a different perspective on how goalies play. And it was just also another person on our staff who was able to scout the other team and figure things out for us. But what are your thoughts just on that transition for him going to be coaching these women?
Yeah, I mean, to that point, I love that point because I look at a lot of mentors in my life. A lot of them are men, and they haven't necessarily been on like the talent side of things where they're reporting or broadcasting or anything, but they know what it takes to get there. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like I really like a straight shooter in my life because that's the mentors that I have somehow stuck with now. They all shoot straight. There's definitely no wondering about that gray area. But I don't know. I think Chris Spar, he's talked about, and Danielle has talked about how great his communication style is. Obviously, we don't know much about it yet. At the time of that press conference, he had only been hired for about a week. So there's a lot to learn. But, you know, there's a lot of emphasis on how well he communicates with the team, how much emphasis he puts on, you know, working with them and building a relationship. And I don't know that, you know, there's always that like question like, oh, a man coach with the female athletes, how's that relationship going to look? It's fine. It's going to be fine because I think he is a great coach. I think he's got great credentials, experience. He's very excited to be here. You know, he loves Boston. He loves the opportunity to be with this team, coaching it from the top down. And I think, you know, he's going to be a really great communicator. I think, you know, I don't really think there's anything to worry about. They're the best hockey players in the world, whether they're men or women, and there's an opportunity to coach them. And I think that's how he's approaching it.
Yeah, so let's hear from Coach Spar just on this transition to the women's game.
Well, I think there's some nuances, certainly, you know, especially within the, you know, the rules of the game, you know, the 3-point wins, you know, shorter game schedule. Like these games have, you know, you can't throw away a weekend. That's for sure. You got to be on your toes at all the times. But for me, when I went through the process and I'm looking for, you know, my next job and I want to be a head coach, it was important for me. I wanted to work with the highest level of athletes possible. This gives you the opportunity to work, as mentioned, in a great city, but with the best women's hockey players on the globe. And what that means is they're motivated people. They want to get better. That's my skill set. That's my wheelhouse. That's where I want to live. And so when this opportunity came up, you know, I didn't look at it as, you know, men's, women's. I looked at it as the best option to work with the best in the world.
I love that answer. I think it's incredible and just very respectful too to these women hockey players because it is different. The leagues are very different. PWHL recently started, and then you know what the NHL is. Like there is significant differences in just the hype and the resources around them. So I love that he pointed that out as like, you know, you only have one answer that you can give in your opening press conference, and that's what he chose to say. But I'd love to just talk PWHL in general because there's a lot going on, a lot of expansion. The Boston Fleet looks a little bit different than it did earlier. I'm a little bit sad about some of those people who are leaving. Yeah. Super happy for Annabelle going to Seattle, my hometown, but just with the league changes and adding Seattle and Vancouver, what does that do for this league? Like what might change just having more teams?
Well, I mean, you're adding more access, and I think that's the important part about it. That was the intention of the Takeover Tour last year was, hey, let's move this game around North America between Canada and the U.S. here, and let's see how many people are interested. And records were broken at venues, and it was really exciting to see the numbers. I mean, I'm not a very statistical person. However, I feel numbers do tell a story, and I mean, some of the largest audiences were the West Coast. So Vancouver, Seattle were some of the top, like, 3 or 4, I forget what it looks like, but they had close to 20,000 people come to those games.
Wow.
And, you know, Vancouver, the Canucks obviously play there, but this one game garnered more of an audience than a few home games for the Canucks. So I just think, I don't know, it's really, whether you like hockey or not or understand it or not, I feel like the fan base is extremely inclusive. Everybody can be a fan if you don't know, you know, certain rules about the game. I just feel like there's a really fun angle to being a PWHL fan, and I got to see it firsthand last year. We're going to see it West Coast, and even some more neutral site games coming up this season. So it's going to be interesting to see where else it goes.
Yeah, no, I know. There was one show I think you and I were talking about potential expansion being in like Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes, I would
and here's
love
the thing,
that.
like hockey is not big in Nashville. Like I live there, I'll tell you, it's not a big thing. However, people love entertainment in Nashville. Like that's a city that thrives off of entertainment, and the Predators are great there, and people love going to those games. And so it'd be really cool to see in the future too these PWHL teams do what they're doing, and even NWSL and WNBA, like going to a market that not only like they've seen it in the neutral sites, and hey, we know that there's a crowd, we know that people will come, but also that there's a pro male team there as well for your sport. I think is so important, because not only you can have these like PR crossovers, right? But like you're actually gonna have like financial backing, maybe in the sense that you can use their resources, use their ice, use their gym, whatever it is. And then you also just have that like same tag team ability to like kind of not leech off of, but partner with the males team and those fans that are already in that city.
Yeah, I do think it is fun to see like even, I don't know the specifics, but the All-Star games where now they're having PWHL athletes see who can skate the fastest, and Kendall Coyne Schofield's blowing them out of the water or something. It's just like, it's so much fun to see these athletes just kind of interact with one another in these cities, wherever. I don't know. It's really fun for me, because I grew up a big hockey fan and I love watching the men's game, but it's even more fun watching the women's game now too. And my family is a huge fan of it now because of, me working in it. And I love that it kind of turns them on in that aspect where they're like, okay, we're going to turn the game on because Natalie's on. And wow, I love this player. I love what this player did. Erin Frankel is my mom's favorite player on the team. She always jokingly texts me, tell Erin I said hi today. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that, but maybe one day. Mom. But yeah, I mean, it's so much fun to see where this league is going. I think there is a little bit of an emphasis for more of a Midwestern presence as well now, because Minnesota, I think, they're the only one there. So I'd love to see a team, maybe Chicago or Detroit. They've been hungry for a few years now. So maybe see some more expansion in the Midwest in the future. That's what I would like to see, just to balance out the travel and logistically help them out there too. But I mean, Minnesota's a powerhouse. We've seen it. So keep going.
And they have hockey already there.
Yeah.
Like at first I was like, Indiana, because I'm from Indiana. I was like, selfishly I want Indiana. I'm like, well, that doesn't really make sense. But like other cities, Chicago, Detroit, like that totally makes sense. And I think it's super important. But you did mention Frankel, and even Megan Keller also is coming back. Just when you look at the Boston Fleet roster, what they are right now, and maybe even looking from this season to next season, what excites you most about this next PWHL season for them?
I think, sorry, cut you off. I think what's most exciting to me is just like, okay, this is our third year. We're in this now. We're no longer an inaugural season.
No
we're no
excuses.
longer. We have a team. We have a team name. I mean, Seattle, Vancouver have a little time to get there. But as far as Boston goes, I mean, the grassroots are there. The foundation is there. We've got a new head coach. His vision aligns pretty similarly with the previous coach, Courtney Kessel. So I think it's going to be a pretty nice transition for them this year. And I think Megan Keller, I love her communication style. No matter who she was playing with on the blue line, she was always communicating with them on the bench. She was playing with rookies. She was playing with vets. And she just tends to make people around her better. So I'm so glad that they still have her as part of that leadership group, the returning group. And I just think it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be interesting. No more Hillary Knight, so we don't know who the captain is going to be yet. But yeah, I think there's some great pieces returning. I'm excited to work with the Abby Newhook angle. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Shout out. I was actually just about to say her name, Abby Newhook coming up. We'll see, star from Boston College, but I'm super excited about it. And I think regardless of whether you're cheering on Boston Fleet or you're all the way out in Seattle or Vancouver, this is a league that does everything right, from even the social media stuff. Like, they got it going on. So definitely get excited for that season coming up. But when we come back, we'll get you our Girl on Fire for the week. So stay tuned on who we're highlighting this Monday. All right, we got a Girl on Fire for you guys this week. One from me, one from Natalie. So we'll start here. The Talons win the first ever championship in the inaugural season of Athletes Unlimited Softball. I caught the last inning, literally the last couple plays of this on my flight last night, and true emotion coming from the Talons in their inaugural season. There were so many little young girls in the stands, which was so cool to see, because they have that, okay, I can actually see like pro softball play out in a championship, and just to see the players themselves react the way they did. Montana Fouts got it done on the mound. The game was between the Talons and the Bandits in Tuscaloosa, so definitely a huge softball area that people love the sport, and I think that's important. Like, you don't want to play these championships or these like inaugural seasons and new leagues in places where they're not a hotbed,
right?
In places where you want to know that there's going to be a crazy fan base to come out. But another thing that I've loved about the inaugural season of the softball league, Athletes Unlimited softball league, is how the MLB has really backed it. They've like, even on their PR post for the day, like, oh, this is the broadcast lineup and it includes AU softball. And it's just like those little things like that show you, hey, like, we're a part of this now too. It's not like it's total own identity or entity, if you will. And so I think that's what's been cool to see, just the crossover between the AU softball league and the MLB.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I mean, it speaks to what we've been saying this entire show. It's just that additional support, and I think I liked what you said. It kind of like breaks down that barrier of two separate entities, and it's just like, no, we're all here. We're playing the same game, even though it might look a little different. We're all here. We can win championships too. And look at that picture there. That's awesome.
It's awesome. And I also love with these new teams and these new leagues, like, and we see it a little bit with the PWHL, is like they take their branding and they have to be really creative, because there's a lot of pro teams that already exist. So it's like, okay, how do we come up with a new name? How do we come up with a new color scheme? Like, that's got to be a hard job too. But I've really been impressed by the creativeness and the branding. Like, we just talked about the Denver team, and even thinking about women's lacrosse, the WLL, they're starting a team called the Boston Guard, right? And it kind of plays off that colonial thing. And it's like, you kind of you run out of ideas, and then somebody comes up with a Swan and the Boston Legacy, and it's like, okay. So I do think that that's a huge part to these new inaugural leagues, is that you have to have a differentiator in your color scheme, your branding, the merch you're able to do. Like, it all really matters.
Now, I didn't actually look this up. Do you know the answer of why the Swan is in the Boston Legacy
I think
logo?
it's supposed to be from like downtown Boston Common.
That's what I thought. So that's what, like, and I'm like, okay, we're from this area. We've been around there. Like, you see the swans all the time, swan boats, whatever. Like, I used to ride those when I was little. But to me, I'm like, okay, that's got to be from the Boston Common. So I love that you can associate things with logos. I mean, just kind of branching off that conversation we had earlier.
But it's important too, because you want to be able to like feel like you're connected to the team. And feel like you're a part of that fan base. And I mean, the Swan, they were like, it's a fierce competitor. Like, the Swans look beautiful.
Graceful.
That's for sure. But like, I have heard like, don't mess up with a swan, or like those things will come at you. So yes, definitely fierce competitor. But who's your girl on fire for the week?
Well, speaking more about branding, I mean, we're certainly getting used to the Minnesota Frost, because they just continue to be Walter Cup champions, and wanted to talk a little bit about Kendall Coyne Schofield, because I went on X the other day and saw the Minnesota Frost retweeted that she got to throw out the first pitch at the White Sox game. Take a look here. They have a couple of clips they put online. She's got the Walter Cup. She's got her son in the Walter Cup, which is amazing. And there she goes throwing the first pitch. Not the first time she's done that, but I just thought that was so cool. I mean, she, of course, is a staple from being from Illinois. I love that they invited her out. I mean, to me, I'm just like, yeah, she's on fire. She's always been on fire, from her Northeastern days to her Frost days. I love watching her, and I love seeing her be showcased. More MLB action there. I think that was the exact game. So I think I'll have to pull up the tweet here, but I think the pitcher that evening was also from Northeastern, and he went out there and threw like 5 scoreless innings, 6 Ks, and Kendall Coyne Schofield got things started with the first pitch as well.
Yeah,
so cool night for Northeastern.
It's awesome.
Great night for Kendall, and she's just so much fun to watch. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I love that. I also think too, like, I know I've been in the stands at baseball games, or even like at a hockey game, and someone does the puck drop, and you might not know, oh my gosh, no way, that I didn't know that. Or like they find people who are prominent in the world of sports, most likely, and I think it's a great way to just give someone an opportunity to be highlighted in a fan base that might not normally know them. But just with the throwing out the first pitch, you've watched a lot of baseball in your time. I've never thrown out a first pitch. My team got to go maybe like 2 years ago. No, 2 years ago. At Fenway to throw out the pitch. It was my captains that were throwing it. I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't. If you had to throw out the first pitch tomorrow, do you think you would have like a to F? Well, how would you grade your first pitch throwing it out?
Gosh, maybe like a G. I don't know. I will say
FG. No.
I feel like I could land it. I could make it. Of course, you throw it out in front of the mound, so you're not as far away as, you know, the pitchers are. But I don't know. I mean, it was funny the other day at work, a ball came towards me and Iggy Suarez told me, he's like, throw it back, let's see that arm. And I like actually kind of put my back into it. Okay. Ended up throwing it right into the ground. He still caught it because he's a pro and I'm not. But I'm like, okay, so that's an indication as to what I would look like if I played this sport. So let's keep me on the bench. But yeah, no, you know what? A first pitch at Fenway would be like a dream position. I think that'd be cool. I would be so nervous though. I don't think I could do it.
Well, I think it's just because you know the hype around the
Yes.
moment. Like you could 100% throw a perfect pitch if like no one was watching, but
Right.
it's that everyone is actually watching in that moment. But I think those clips are so funny to see. And I remember my teammates going up there. They actually all three of our captains did the exact same time.
Oh,
so it was like
that's
a very
a little better.
interesting. It was a very interesting pitch. And I remember one of our girls who's like a freak athlete had like not the best throw. We were
Really?
all like, what? But it just definitely came
pressure.
down. It's like, yeah, the pressure and the nerves of that situation. But what an awesome opportunity for Kendall, and also just to be able to like do that in a place that she's connected to, I think is really cool.
Yeah, another thing that I love, and I don't want to take up too much time on this, but like you forget, like some of these players are moms, and I just thought it was so cool. She had her son out there, and in the Walter Cup, I remember I saw the Women's World Championships. 2024 Utica, I think Natalie Spooner had her baby in that trophy too. And I'm like, you just forget these athletes, the best in the world, they're also moms. They've got a couple full-time jobs. Look, there's another screen grab there. I think it's an area of life that you don't really think about because we watch a lot of men's games. We see, you know, they've got their wives and the families at home, but now we're watching the women and you forget like they've got their family too, and they've got the role of the mother. And it's amazing because the PWHL has done an outstanding job of allowing these players to travel with their families, setting up hotel rooms and like babysitters and all that kind of stuff, traveling flights. It's been amazing to see. It's inspiring. Just like these female athletes are moms and they're still doing incredible things.
Wow, that's so wild. I wish we had more time to talk about that because I like seriously don't know any of that side of the PWHL and these women having to like play their season and their kids. So maybe we'll do a whole family episode. We'll have like a ton of people up
Bring
here
in the
at
moms.
one point. But love this conversation, Natalie. So fun to do our first studio show
I
together
know, I
in
love
person.
it.
Love it. But thank you so much for tuning in to Respect Your Game. We covered all the things today. So tune in next Monday for another episode on NESN.